And now, the stunning conclusion to the Rage War. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Alien vs. Predator Armageddon, The Rage War Book 3. This is by Tim Lebbon, and it is from Titan Books. All right, so because this is book 3 of what is just one solid 3-book story, there are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't read the first 2 books, you might want to go and do that. I've already reviewed both of them. I'll put links for the reviews up here somewhere. But we're going to get into this. And as I said, I mean, it's the last third of a big story, so there's going to be a few spoilers here. Just so be warned. I'm letting you know. So in the first book, let's see how quickly I can do this. Predators are moving into the human zone because they're running from something. We have character Isa, if that's how you say her name, Isa Palant, who studies the Yautja predators. That's how I pronounce it. I don't know. There's a billion different pronunciations. She's come up with a program to talk to Isa Palant's come up with a program to talk to the Yautja, and as the predators are moving into the human zone, some strange attacks have occurred within the human zone, and so Isa Palant uses her translation program to talk to the predators, and they come to a treaty. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the humans and the predators are going to work together against whatever it is that's coming. And there's an android that's on the run from the bad guys, and she has excuse me, her name's Lilia, however you say it. She has the secret. She believes she has the secret to defeating this menace. So then we get to book 2, and I've skipped a lot of stuff, but I don't want to spoil everything. So in book 2, this menace is getting closer and closer to the human sphere, and we've learned that it is a group of humans that left Earth and the human sphere a long time ago. They just wanted to get away from everything, and while they were traveling way out in space past the human sphere, they came across something, and it sort of changed them, changed the way they think. And now there's the woman in charge, Beatrix Maloney, believes that she and her group of founders, I think that's what they call themselves, they deserve to be in charge of the human sphere. So they're coming back, and they have managed to create an army of xenomorphs. So they're raiding the human sphere. They're getting closer. They have android generals that control the xenomorphs, and they're just tearing everything up, while our heroes are just trying to figure out what to do, scrambling around. Lilia has hooked up with a predator, and they've ended up at a place called Hell, where they've found a couple of people to help them out, and some mercenaries. They're going to try to get Lilia to the center of the human sphere, because, again, she believes she has the answer to stopping the rage. Isa Palant and the group that she is with, they've been trying to get back to the center of the human sphere, back to Weyland-Yutani, but they've kind of gone off track because of some things that happened, and at the end of book 2, they ended up with some predators in a secret predator asteroid base, and stuff. And that's basically, I think, where book 2 ends, is with Isa and her group on the predator asteroid base, the rage getting closer with their xenomorph armies, and Lilia and her group are still at Hell, just about to leave so they can get to Weyland-Yutani in the center of the human sphere. All right, I think that covers everything, or at least the high points. So that's where we start Alien versus Predator Armageddon. And of course, I mean, this is the big epic conclusion to the story. So it's. I'm not exactly sure the best way to review this book. Do I talk about it as just a single book by itself? Do I talk about it as part of the whole? And I'm going to try to do both, I think. I'm not sure I can accomplish the single book part because it is all one big story. And so, I mean, I think it's going to be tough to just talk about this on its own. Uh, I'm a fan of Tim Lebbon, so the writing, as always, is top notch. I can say that about this. I can say that about all three books in the series. Um, he does ramp things up a little bit. I mean, it is the conclusion of the story, so that's what you get is a ramping up to the big finale. Um, you know, I think I need to just talk about this as part of the whole. Um, if you look at my other reviews, I really enjoyed the first two books. I enjoyed this book, but not as much, and part of that is the way it fits into the whole thing. Um, I think there are some characters in here that were introduced in book two, but they have a bigger part in here that uh, just I don't see a real reason for them. They just they're just there. I mean, you could say that about a lot of characters in a lot of books. Some characters don't seem to have a purpose, a real purpose. You know, they fill out the story, um, they fill out the world that you're reading about. But I think there's just a couple characters here who are not even really that interesting. I mean, I guess they're interesting enough. We get a lot of their backstory, but I'm not sure exactly what their purpose was, other than to just sort of fill out the universe. I do still like the epic scale of the story. I've said that about the first two books. Um, it's huge, and it's not something I'm used to seeing in either Predator or Alien stories. Just the vast scope. We do get more, appropriately enough, more Alien versus Predator fighting in this. Although for a book titled Alien versus Predator, it's not as much as you might think. One of the worlds that the Rage has attacked, um, we go back there a few times because it's a huge battlefield, and so we do get some predators fighting aliens, which is fun, for lack of a better term. Um, as far as the actual ending to the story, there's one thing I really like about the ending, and then there's another aspect to it that I'm not really a fan of. It seems a little cliched, uh, and I'm not going to say what either of these things are because I don't want to spoil it. I suppose, again, especially if you've read it already, ask me in the comments. We'll post spoiler warnings and we can talk about it. Um, but yeah, one thing really cool I thought, and it kind of opens up the Alien and Predator universe for other writers. I don't know that Tim Lebbon's coming back to this world, but I think he did things that perhaps is setting things up. Maybe, I don't know, for other writers to come in and play in this sandbox. Um, that does remind me of another thing. There is something the Yautja, however you say it, the Predators, talk about that felt like there was no purpose to it whatsoever unless it's to set up possible future stories. They bring up this whole sort of uh, legend or mythology. Again, I don't want to go into details, but when one of them is talking to um, Wow, now I can't remember if the Predator is talking to Isa or talking to Haley Akoko, I think her name is, the colonial marine. Um, but he tells her about this ancient legend, this thing, and um, Akoko Haley. I had it backwards. Um, he tells her about this thing that, while it's interesting, I suppose, it doesn't mean anything in the context of the story. Um, and the phase, which, if you haven't read the books, you won't really know what I mean when I'm talking about the phase. The phase is, this is a bit of a spoiler. This is the thing that the founders found when they were way out in space. It's this thing that gave them technology, abilities, whatever you want to call it, far beyond what they would have. It's what allowed them to control the xenomorphs. It has uh, changed their ships, and it does other things in this book. And at first, it was a very cool concept, I think. But by the time we get to this book, maybe halfway through, maybe before that, the phase just feels like a Deus Ex Machina. Like it's just there to push events forward. Um, and it, I think there are definitely certain things that would not have been able to happen without the phase, and so it seems like it was just simply created as a thing in the books, just so that this thing at the end could happen. I know that, again, that's very vague. Um, so again, cool concept, but I think it falls flat by the end or feels forced, um, because it in the entirety of the three books, a bit of a spoiler, there's no motivation. We have no idea what the motivation of the phase is. Um, so there's that. Uh, Another thing that kind of bothered me throughout the three books, especially in book two and in this one, is almost every single time the humans are working with the predators, at least one human character says or thinks about how they don't trust the predators. And yeah, we get it. They don't trust them, but it just gets to be a lot of times that somebody is saying it or thinking it. Okay, we get it. You don't trust them. Um, Even though by this point, I mean, the predators have saved the humans, I don't know how many times, helped them. Um, so it seems a little, I don't know. I mean, yes, I suppose for hundreds, thousands of years, the predators have been hunting humans, but it's not like it's genocide. They hunt a couple of humans every once in a while. Um, but anyway, I don't know, that just seemed a little too much, just over and over. Oh, don't trust the predators. So I suppose maybe this sounds a little too negative. I did enjoy overall. I liked the story. I like Tim Lebbon's writing. Um, I like the characters for the most part. Uh, Again, except there are a few that seem extraneous. I like the action scenes, although again, for a book called Alien versus Predator, feels like there could have been more actual Alien versus Predator. Um, I do like part of the ending, the other part not so much. Um, so it's not horrible by any means. Um, I If you've read the first two, of course you're going to pick this up because you want to finish it. For the casual reader, it's not bad. You go ahead and pick that up. Uh, for the hardcore fans, I've already had some people comment on my reviews. They don't like the way the predators or the aliens are portrayed. I don't think this is going to change your mind. Um, Although, and that's, here's another aspect. It seems, in the first book, the predators are running from the rage. But every time we see the predators fighting, it seems like they're holding their own. I don't understand why they're running when they seem to be kicking ass pretty well. But so as a conclusion to the story, it feels a little weak overall. So I'll show you my rating. I kind of screwed up. I put a little too much detail in one of these things that shouldn't have detail in it. So hopefully you'll just take my word for what the rating actually is. I went with, I crossed a predator wrist blade with a xenomorph inner mouth thing. I don't know if that's going to be clear, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5. This one over here, I shouldn't have added the detail. It should just be a black outline. And half of this other one should only be outlined. But you can see the color. 3.5 of them are colored. But that's 3.5. It's like I said, it's overall I enjoy the series, the 3 books. I like the epic scope, but it just kind of maybe went on too long. Instead of 300 plus pages books, so you've got over 900 pages of story here, maybe 2 300 plus pages books. Chop it down to 600 pages total. Or, I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to pick up a single 600 page book that's Alien versus Predator. People do it for Stephen King all the time. I don't know if they're going to do it for a property like this, but I think it was stretched a little too far. So, still not a bad read. I enjoyed it. Tim Lebbon's writing, the writing style, the way he writes, the characters he creates, always good, even if some of them don't necessarily need to be there. They're still well-written characters. So that's why it gets 3.5 out of 5 crossed predator alien thingies. So if you have any questions, comments, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Again, if you want to know any specifics, the comments are open for spoilers. We just post spoiler warnings so we don't mess it up for anybody. Please like, share, and subscribe. As I said, I will have a couple of links up here for my reviews for the first 2 books in the series, just in case you haven't read them. Although, again, I don't know why you'd watch the reviews for the second and third books if you haven't even read the first one yet, but whatever. Hey, you do you. I'm just doing me. So I said, please like, share, and subscribe. I did the whole comments thing. I swear there's... I will have 1 or 2 links for the book in the description below. If you do decide to check it out, pick it up, and want to order it online, I'll have some links down there for you. So I guess that's it. That's Alien vs. Predator Armageddon, Rage War Book 3. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.